Welcome to the Today in History channel. In today's video we will talk about the day, May 26, 1964, creation of the PLO. The Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, is a political body representing the interests of more than 8 million Arab Palestinians who lived during the British Mandate of Palestine before the proclamation of the State of Israel in 1948. And their descendants. It was constituted in 1964 to concentrate the leadership of several Palestinian resistance groups that until that moment operated as clandestine movements against Israel. The PLO adopted the armed struggle against Israel from the 1960s to the 1980s. At the end of the 20th century, in the 1990s, a phase of negotiations opened that culminated in the Oslo Peace Accords of 1993. In the years that followed, this peace process deteriorated until it failed. At the beginning, the PLO set out to fight for the destruction of the State of Israel and for the right of self-determination for the Palestinian people, which included the hundreds of thousands of refugees in neighboring countries. In 1969, Yasser Arafat, leader of Fatah, the predominant faction among those grouped in the PLO, was appointed president of the organization. The guerrilla attacks launched from Jordan obtained a strong Israeli military response, which created serious problems for King Hussein of that country. In 1971, the Jordanian army expelled PLO guerrillas from Jordan after bloody fighting, an episode that would become known as Black September. The PLO militiamen went to Lebanon, where they continued their attacks on Israel. His arrival was one of the factors that triggered the civil war in Lebanon, in which the PLO was fully involved. Israel would invade the country in 1982, surrounding Beirut and, after hard fighting, forcing PLO guerrillas into exile. The PLO was recognized by the Arab countries as the sole representative of the Palestinian people and, in 1976, joined the Arab League. In the 1980s, devoid of territories close to Israel from which to launch attacks, the PLO took an important strategic turn. On the one hand, in 1987 it launched the Intifada, a true popular rebellion against Israeli occupation, in the occupied territories of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and on the other hand it accepted United Nations Resolutions 242 and 338, by which it tacitly recognized the right to the existence of the State of Israel. Thereafter, the objective was to build two separate states in ancient Palestine, that of Israel, and a new Palestinian state in the occupied territories of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. The end of the Cold War led to the opening of negotiations that culminated in 1993 with the Oslo Accords, which put an end to the state of war between Israel and the PLO, and created an organ of the Palestinian Autonomous Government, the Palestinian National Authority. After Arafat's death in 2004, Mahmoud Abbas took over the reins of the PLO and Fatah. Did you like the video? In the description you will find the blog link with the full article. Give an incentive by subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. Hugs. Until the next.